one more episode of the Enoch Generation, a generation that walks with God. Well, we have with us in the studios today Lawrence Ramesh, and he is a drummer by profession, getting very famous by the day, and not only that, he plays in the secular world as well as gospel albums. Well, let's move on to Lawrence, and we would ask him about his journey with the Lord. Hello Lawrence, it's nice to have you with us today, and it's nice to have somebody very young because we begin to feel young. Well, but although you're this young, I know you have a very powerful journey with the Lord. Now tell us something about your life, like from where did you take off to walk with the Lord and what happened to you before that?
So yeah, I was a born Christian actually. I was been Christian since the day I was born. And it was the usual thing, we used to go to church every Sunday and it's a normal thing, every night we pray and all these things. But during my 10th standard, there was a crisis. Not exactly a crisis, it was something, my mom passed away when I was really young. And my dad...
So how old were you when your mom passed away?
I was 6.
Oh my God. So you remember your mom?
Yeah. Everything. And my dad remarried. So basically what happened was, I didn't know where to go or what to do after 10th standard. I was just there. I don't know how I was going to finish my schooling and who I was going to be. Back then, I didn't know anything about music. I wasn't a drummer, I wasn't a musician, anyone. So what happened was, after my 10th standard, during the holidays, thinking about what to do and all these things, I got a contact and I kind of enrolled myself in a Bible college. It's called Charis Bible College, Andrew Womack. To be honest, I joined there because I didn't know what to do, and someone sponsored me, for me to study there. So that is the only reason I joined there. But the best part, I think that is the best thing that has ever happened to me. I think so far there are so many things that were one of the best things, because I was 15 years old back. And I get to be and hang around with people who are 10 years, 15 years elder to me. Yeah, usually people say that it is kind of boring and stuff, but I learned a lot from them.
Okay.
Yeah, initially in the first couple of months it was difficult.
So were you in a situation where you couldn't continue your schooling?
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
Because the fees and everything comes where I should stay and all these things. Okay. So the Bible college, they provided me with a place to stay and to study in the college. So
basically it was that you didn't know what to do. When somebody came forward and sponsored, you said, okay, fine.
And they asked me, would you be interested? I don't know why I should say. I just said okay.
But how did you come to know this particular contact who put you into this Charis Bible College?
This is one of my, sister's husband's friend. It's a friend of a friend, something like that. So they asked me, they said they have a program like this, do you want to be part of it? I said, okay. It was 9-month course. And I enrolled myself and it was good, hanging out with big people. And I personally like to, study and be with elder people so they can actually learn something from them. So yeah, that's where I kind of found found the love of my life, which is the drums.
Okay.
And even there was a drum kit right there and there was nobody to teach. So I was like, God, I really want to play the drums and I love this instrument and you teach me. That's how my drumming career started. And being there, having...
you just went and you tried on your own?
Yeah, I tried and YouTube, everything was there, right? If I could just talk with any musician, I'll ask them what to do, is there anything I can do and improve on things? And yeah, that's how it started. That's how I used to play every day. There I was hanging out with big people. I learned a lot. How to talk or how to be with people. I was 15 years old, I don't know anything. Because
so you would have just been a little kid?
Yeah, that's what they call me most of the time.
I think I still call you the same.
So it was one of the good times of my life. And that's where my journey, I would say, because of course, if you're around elder people, you would get to hear their stories and their journey, right? I was actually inspired. When, we might have few problems here and there and think, I'm the only one who's going through this. But when you hear people talk about their problems, you will be like, okay, that is nothing compared to what they have gone through, and they would have been, successful. So that kind of gave me hope, and above all, I kind of felt I can be myself with God. Because all this time I was always taught, okay, you should do this, you should wake up in the morning, pray for so many hours, and the thing called Srotirabali.
Okay.
Give thanks, okay, you should give 1,000 thanks to the Lord and all these things. But when I heard people talk,
So it was more like, you were following some rigid
exactly
rules
a
and
formula
laws
or something, and I was
exactly.
wondering why the formula wasn't working. And that is what I learned. See, more than in that college, more than verses or like Bible theology or
Knowledge,
anything,
okay.
I learned a lot about how each of their journey can be really different and will be different with every single person. There is no specific formula for every single one.
Because everybody is created so unique, so everybody's journey is also very unique.
Yeah, even if you ask me about like what is this and which time period this thing happened, I still have no idea about how it happened. But I finished Bible college. But the thing is, this is what I learned, majorly from that college, and it really helped me. After finishing that college, I thought, okay, I have to go back to school, right? I have to finish my schooling. The problem was, since I took a break.
I just want to interrupt you here. Okay, when you were in the college, others' journey was inspiring you.
Yeah.
And that was pushing you forward to continue your journey. But did you kind of have a relationship with God, at least at that point of time?
Yeah, back then, yeah, of course.
You did?
Yeah,
Okay.
but like...
did you understand what the relationship with the Lord was? Because you were pretty young and...
Yeah, the relationship, see, I didn't, that's the thing. I didn't know depths. Okay, I just knew, okay, He's always that. See, that is one thing, even today when people ask me, like, what is that one thing you're thankful about, or what the one thing you would give thanks to the Lord? That is what I would say. I would say, I thank the God because He was always there.
Wow, awesome.
Anything, okay, like, even when I don't know, even when I don't realize it actually, right? If I look at it right now, He was always there.
Amen.
In certain things, right, I would have thought, okay, what was I going through? But like, I have no idea how I came out of it, but yeah, He was always there. You get what I mean?
The good, the bad, whatever.
Yeah, He was always there. Okay, even though back then I wasn't conscious about certain times, but He was always there. I think that's the major truth I learned back in that college. And even during the holidays, people used to go back home, and they have their own families and stuff. Yeah, I used to do that. But I never felt lonely, that's what I should say.
Wow.
It wasn't like, I'm like sitting in this room, then nobody's here. I had my fun. Even though I wasn't praying constantly, I knew, someone was always there.
Okay, that's really wonderful. So you always felt the presence of God with you.
Yeah, I've been like in the presence of God, and I think like not like, holy, like the feeling which you have, when you know that you're not alone in the room. It's always there. Like, people, because...
So you had a very deep-rooted faith that you knew that He who told you He would be with you is there with you.
Yeah, see, because I've heard people saying, they go mad when they're alone, or when they're in a room, like loneliness or something like that, right? I never felt that. People always say, like, okay, you're always alone, like, why are you staying there, like, why are you not coming here? How can you be at home, without internet or anything, like, how you just, I'm like, I don't know.
But you were pretty happy.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy, and I just keep doing it. It's like, there's someone in the home already, they're doing this and that. Well, you just know it, right? You're not conscious, but you just know it.
Wonderful.
There's something like that. So, yeah.
So God was so real to you.
Yeah, He was real to you. Yeah, of course, like, I've made... That's what the funny thing is, He's always there even when you make mistakes. He's always there when you're deviating from your track. See, the thing is, I might, include God, everything right now in the here and there, but in real life, like, I don't actually do it. I don't like pray before everything I do, something like that, but He was always there, He's always guiding me. Sometimes I just felt this, before something went wrong, you would have heard someone, like, your mind, why, I don't think this is right. Yeah, that is Him talking to you, right? It's just I didn't pay attention to it, and I kept doing it, and I took the fall.
And got yourself into a mess.
Exactly. And I've got myself into a lot of messes. So many things.
I think everybody does.
I think that's the beauty of it,
I don't
right?
think any of us are 100% perfect in our lives. No one of us make mistakes here and there.
Yeah, I think
He's such a loving Father.
Yeah, sometimes, we forget, okay, we go really hard on ourselves, but I think that is the beauty of it. You fall down and you learn that He's there.
Yes.
You fall down and you fall even more deeper down, and he's still there. I'm like,
Yes.
and you think I cannot hit rock bottom after this, and he's like, hello,
I'm still here.
I'm
Come-
still here. Okay,
Come
well.
out.
I think maybe that is what I'm learning lately, and I wouldn't say they are right. Right, I might even laugh about the things I'm doing today in next 10 years. Like how stupid I was, but you still always there. I think that is that one thing which I've learned in the past 7-8 years. That is a major thing I've gained or learned in my life.
That surety that God is there with
Yeah,
you.
He's always there.
That's wonderful, because I think that's the main thing we all really need to know, that God is there with us no matter what, whether we are right, whether we are wrong. He's still there because He's a loving Father. No? So He never lets us just go down the drain and do what you want. He waits for us to get up and come back again.
No, sometimes you're like, oh, why did I even do that? Even the thing is, He was there with you. Some people might like, this guy, that guy, he will always do this, he will always do this. Okay, God is there also. At the same time, when people praise you, like, oh man, he's so good, he's hardworking, he does this, he does that. Look at where he is right now. He's there also, with you. He is always there. The people might be here and not there. And of course, He will help you through people, in different period. Like we were talking before about this. Sometimes, before I used to wonder, like, why God, you have a certain set of people in my life for a certain set of period. The thing is, I get really attached to them, and suddenly, they will go out. That, the kind of help or favor will go out. I used to be very mad. I always thought, if you gave something, why did you take away? But when you were talking before, you said, see, God wants all the glory. He doesn't want anyone to point out and say, I made him.
Yes. Because there's a verse that I love in the Bible, where Abraham says that, lest anybody says I became rich because of them. So he says, I won't take anything from the king, because he didn't want, anybody to feel that he had become rich because he had taken some things which the king gave him or something like that. So that's something which I really love in the Bible, because we have a King of Kings, Lord of Lords, who is our Father, our friend, our bridegroom, our everything. So we literally lack nothing. So why do we go, focusing on people when we have such a big
So the thing is,
who's our everything?
see, that is one truth I'm lately trying to really get into myself. It's like how my name has gone into my mind, right? Anyone in any crowd, if they say Lawrence, I'll just turn back. I'm just like trying to understand that truth. The thing is, see, people can contribute to your life. People can contribute in different periods of your life. But the thing is, nobody can point and say they made me or you.
Who
Okay,
you are.
So that's a girl. Like, see, I'll have people in your life to contribute and help you and mentor you and grow. But I actually know that he is the one. Nobody can. I will just tell to their face.
That's
they
a
tell me
fact.
like I made you. I'm like, no one made me.
Exactly, that's the truth. So he just brings us kingdom connections to push us in our journey, and that's it. So with that, the kingdom connections are cut off. If God feels that they're trying to kind of overpower you, control you, things like that, God simply separates them off. I've seen it happening in my life several times. So He just removes those kingdom connections out, and He says, no, that time is over now, you move on your journey. And when you are in the next step, He brings somebody else there. So that's the way God orchestrates the whole thing and takes us through, lest anybody else takes the glory that belongs to Him. Because I've been seeing you in your journey for, I think, past how many years?
I think it's 5 years.
5 years, okay. And I know what you were 5 years ago and who you are right now, and it's been amazing. So it's something that really touched my heart, to see the self-made man that you have become. So the world may call you self-made, but I know you're Jesus-made. Okay, and you're so unique, and the journey that you've gone through is very unique. And I see the way you've struggled, gone through everything, and you've come to this part. And this is exactly why I wanted you to speak to the world about your journey, because there may be several others going through a similar journey, and your words will be a source of consolation and comfort to them. Okay, then what happened to you after your Bible college?
So after my Bible college, I had to finish my schooling, right, to go proceed through life and things. And that was a small problem. The thing is, every school I approached, even my old school, everything, they were finding it difficult to take me back in, because I took a year break.
Okay.
No, they didn't want to take me back because I had a year break. I wasn't in touch with and I was doing something else. and I was really down at that time. I had everything. At the same time, I didn't know how I was going to pay my fees. I thought like, okay, let me find a school first. Yeah, I was just approaching, every school I went, when I was waiting in the room, like everyone will be with their parents, okay, with the file and the kid. I'll be the only guy, just sitting alone. And the peon or whoever is there asked me like, where is your parent? No, only I've come. And everyone have turned me down. And I think I went for a school in St. Thomas Mount. Okay, they turned me down and I was really low. So I was waiting in the bus stop, okay, with my file, and I was just sitting there and I'm like, what am I going to do? Okay, I don't know where to go. And there was another school. In that area, there are like chunks of schools, and there was another school, and it is a matriculation school. I thought, okay, I've never seen this and never heard about this. I thought, okay, let me go. So I just went there. I said I want to meet the principal. Nothing. I don't know where I got the courage from. Okay, about application. He said, come in. Okay, I went there, and she was very scary, to be very honest. Okay, and I was scared. And she asked me like, where are your parents? I told her the situation, this is this, this is that. And I've done Bible college after my 10th standard. I've taken a break in between, and this is this. Okay, these are my credentials and all these things. And I asked her one question, will you take me? This is the one question I asked. Apparently she was impressed that I just came alone and did this. And without even a second thought, she just gave me the seat.
Wow.
And the next day when I went back, she wanted me to come the next day. She was like, I've never seen anyone come alone and say this. And I've never done this to anyone in my life. I've always checked their background and like their family thing, like all these things. And yeah, I would grant you a seat. And she said, these are you have to pay the fees by this, uniform and all these things. Went back. And I don't know how to pay the fees, okay? You won't believe, auntie, that same evening, I have no idea, I've never contacted. I was thinking, because I was 16 years old. I don't know whom to approach, like where to approach and all these things. Back in the Bible college, there was one auntie, her name is Maria. Okay, she did that course with us. She contacted me and she just asked me what I'm doing and how I was. I'm like, yeah, auntie, I'm good, I'm planning to join school and all these things. I didn't mention about the fees thing. And she was like, so yeah, Lawrence, listen, like the school thing, right? Will you be okay if I can sponsor you for your schooling life? He just asked me that. I'm like, okay, that won't be a problem.
I like the answer.
I'm like, that won't be a problem. I'm like, okay. I told her, okay, auntie, then I'll get back to you. I'll mail you all the details and things. And that's how it went on. For the entire 2 years, 11th and 12th, she took care, and she was a huge support. She took care of every time I sent her like the school fees, she didn't question anything, she'll just pay it off.
Wonderful.
She paid off the entire thing for 2 years. And the 2 years, like the thing is, who I was in my 10th before Bible college and who I was in 11th to 12th was totally different.
So that's it, when you have the right kingdom connections, God really takes you on your journey, and I think the Bible college literally transformed you, and God had a purpose and plan for
the thing is, people think, okay, when you go to Bible college, you turn into a new man. Yeah, of course, it happened to me, but not in the way in which people assume. Usually when you say Bible college, okay, he must be really speckless, like he's perfect, he might quote any verses from anywhere in the Bible, he must know every timeline. I'm like, no.
Yeah, but you may not, but still, you've made some impact on somebody. Well, viewers, now we've been listening to Lawrence and his journey and how God, took him on to Bible college, and after that, his journey in the 11th and the 12th standard in school. And he will be continuing his journey with us in the next episode. Till then, it's a bye and a God bless, and I know that his journey will definitely motivate each one of you. God bless you all. Welcome to another episode of the Enoch Generation, a generation that walks with God. So in our previous episode, we had Lawrence with us, and he shared his experience and his walk with God and how he was supernaturally provided by the Lord, and God took him in his journey, and he was talking to us up to him finishing school. So we have Lawrence with us in the studios today, and he will continue his journey with us. So yes, Lawrence, it was very interesting to listen to how the Lord had supernaturally led you and how you were able to complete your schooling. Now from there, how do you take off, and what did God do in your journey from there?
Yeah, as I was saying, I was enrolled in for 11th, and the entire journey, 11th and 12th, those 2 years were really different compared to what schooling was before. Because I would never, talk to anyone. I could never, answer anything in the class. I would be, lost in the crowd. No one noticed me or anything at all.
So your Bible college was literally a training ground for
A
you.
training ground. The 9 months were really good. So when 11th and 12th came, it was different. I don't know if it's something I did or whatever it is. I felt like people spoke to me more. I had friends. I had good friends, and I was able to teach them more about everything. Not literally sit them and teach them Bible verses something. For example, in 11th and 12th, in those times, guys were drinking, smoking, everything. And funnily, most of my friends were doing the same thing. I used to hang out with them all the time. Every time they are always with them, especially in 12th. And they used to offer me, you want to take a puff, you want to take a sip. And for some reason, see, I've never felt like I should even try it. See, most guys, I ask them why do you do it? They say I don't know, I want to try it. I started and now I cannot stop. I really thank God, even till this day, I've never had that feeling or craving for it, or craving more than what is it? Let me try. Never had it. And this thing really moved them in the sense.
They found something
surprised.
different.
I'm how can you not try it? Everyone is doing. Why don't they? I don't want to. I said I don't feel like doing it. It's not that holy. No, I never told them. I want to try it because I don't want to. It's like how you don't do certain things or eat certain things. That is why they always stuck with me. No matter what, okay, let's call Lawrence. Okay, we're going. Okay, let's call him.
So although they used to sit around you and drink and things like that,
all sorts of things.
it didn't affect you one bit.
It never affected me. I was never attracted to it, and that is what it is. So people knew it.
So nobody blamed you for being with this crowd?
Of course, people did. They know people. that is the way of the world, right? That's how people see it. Even I would do the same thing if I see someone hanging out with my friends hanging out with other people. But yeah, they were my friends, okay. I knew them. I knew that they had another side
so
of.
You were more like Jesus because the people he hung out with were also.
I don't think I was even closer to Jesus. I don't think I'm even a tiny bit closer to Jesus.
You are.
Maybe I will be, but not yet.
You still are. You're on your journey.
Yeah.
You have a long way to go.
Yeah, that.
But where were you staying during the 11th and the 12th?
The first initial time.
Because as far as you were in the Bible college, you had a place.
This timeline is kind of really jumbled up, kind of confusing because I kept moving from places to places and places.
But you had people who were accommodating you now and then.
A lot of people were. I told you, right? A lot of people have contributed in my life, even though.
So it was never like you never had a place to go.
No, I get it.
I mean, you didn't have a place. It was never like. You were on the streets without a place.
It was not exactly. See, it was never the play like that. I go to this church called the Father's House, and I was there in the media room, for certain ones. And then there's another brother called Kiran, okay, and I was just sticking here and there with him, and he introduced me to your family, and what you were doing, the ministry you were doing back then. And yeah, till my 12th, I kind of stayed there, and that's how it was. It was never. See, it was never one place. At the same time, it was
never one person.
Never one person. It was never the streets.
Wow.
And that too, I'm telling you, it's not that I was stayed in a really small room. I was eating only one meal per day. It was never that case. And to be very honest, I'm always that cash. Even back then, see, for me, a guy like me, to have $100 or $200 every day in my pocket was a big thing.
Yes.
And I had 3 meals every day. I had good meals. It's not that I was.
Half a stomach or something.
Nothing like that. I'm fasting. No such thing. I never fasted. So it was always plenty and it was always good.
Oh, so you were in the perfect kingdom of God, where God is your supplier and He made sure that that royalty is your portion. So you didn't have to eat half meals.
But to be honest, I was never worried. I think that's the main key.
You were never worried.
Worried about, or even thought about what I'm going to eat. Remember the verse that says don't worry about what you eat. I think I was doing it without even knowing it. I'm what will I have tonight? Do I have money? I never thought about it. Somehow it just happened.
Wow.
Just
That's awesome.
happened, right? And okay, it comes. Okay, don't jinx it. Don't try to do anything to it. Just keep happening.
So God is constantly supplying you with everything that you needed.
He's always there. So the thing is, in my 12th, what happened was, till my final exams, I was actually performing really well. I was like really good, and teachers were so sure that okay, I'll be getting 2 centums in 2 subjects and all these things. But something happened during the 2-3 months before the exam. I became too I wouldn't say lazy, like I became too careless. Like that. I'm like, okay, it's already half yearly, and I kind of finished my portions. I know everything. So let me take just chill out.
Right.
Okay, these guys will bunk. Okay, they'll say, okay, this is the last month of school. Okay, let me bunk. Okay, bunk and things like let's not go to class. Let's be in the canteen. Let's not go here. Let's not go to class. Let's be chill. So I think that is one of the messes I did. Okay, because of that, it reflected on my grades. Yeah, you won't believe I was getting centum like above 190 in all my most papers just before my annual exam. The annual exam, I got 188, and that was a big hit, and I realized how stupid I was. And the thing is, ever since starting at 11th, I knew which college I want to study. Madras Christian College, MCC. I knew. I don't have any options. I was like so sure I need to get into it. Because it had music, I've seen it, I've seen the pictures and everything. And like, that's where I want to be.
So that was your dream college.
That was my dream college. Yeah, after post my annual exam, and that time getting BCom in Madras Christian College like too difficult. Like like impossible to say because it was a very tough spot.
That's always in demand.
Always in demand. And after the college started, it's been I think almost a month since the college has started, and I'm still having an application. I've applied and no one is calling me back. I still don't know how I'm going to pay the fees. Okay, that's a different story. So I'm like waiting, and you won't believe somebody even got she appear in another way. So one of my church mates, okay, his name is Ramesh. He helped me a lot. Getting into college and sorting out everything. He was literally there, and like I'll call him and like okay, let me get you. Okay, because I know how impossible the task is.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. And imagine the college has started, okay, and you hear all your friends are going to college, and they ask you which college, and like, I'm sitting right here at home. I'm just here. Like, what are you going to do? Things they'll suggest, right? Why don't you apply for another college? For some reason, I know I'm not going to do it. People are asking me already, spent 1 year in Bible college, you are going to waste another year. I don't know how it happened actually, seriously. That 1 week, I still can't recall, even if I think, I don't know what happened when you were sitting, I used to go to college back and forth for application. One fine day, I got a place, and come from tomorrow. I'm like, wow. Okay, about the fees, what will I do? I'm like, of course, my church played a huge role in that place. They paid my first semester fees. Wow, it just happened, okay. I got the application, I went, they said like, yeah, this is the money, go pay it. And then I went to the college, paid the money, got everything, they said, they gave my ID card and you can come. It happened, not even 1 week, it happened in 3-4 days.
Awesome. That's the God we serve.
Yeah.
So your walk has been an absolute supernatural walk, where God brought in the perfect kingdom connections at the perfect timing and did everything so perfectly. I mean, when I listen to your story, it's like, God orchestrating everything, so perfectly, and it's moving from one, phase to another. I can really see the flow as you're speaking. It's beautiful. And it's so nice that you didn't have any doubts, any questions, nothing in your mind.
Yeah.
So that was the grand entrance into Madras Christian College.
Those 3 years were really good because I had nice set of messes and everything here and there. But those 3 years were really good, and I've learned a lot. I made a lot of friends. My music career literally went up a notch.
Okay. And regarding your fees, now for the first semester your fees was already paid up, but what about the rest of the semester?
Church took care of it.
Okay, so they paid all your semester fees.
Entire college fees is being taken over church. And every time there's a fees something there, I don't know when I'll get this. Because his father was working in the college.
Okay.
So he knew when the fees were taken. So he was like, okay, so he was given a big support.
That's wonderful. That's so lovely children of God who come there and hear the right time. And
see, the thing is, you see,
it's amazing.
it wasn't like, auntie who helped me in 11th and 12th. She was there for a period of time. After that, now the people.
Yeah.
Get what I'm saying?
That is beautiful. No? But weren't you even a little bit worried, okay, now 12 is done now, who's going to pay my fees or everything?
I wouldn't say, see, I think back then I wasn't, worried, or I didn't have much knowledge about consequences. I think maybe that gave me the kind of confidence, or
you just left it in the hands of the God, let him do what
back
he
then
wants to do.
Back then I was like so worried. I really wish I could be that kind of person. Back then I would like every time when someone comes in, I was like, okay, God did this, so he will do this. He did this, let him do this.
So everything that God did was recorded so much into you that you knew that the same God would help you. That's what would help you in your journey through. That's awesome, because most of the time we see miracles happening, we see the supernatural operating, everything, but when we are faced with the next problem, we are mostly like the Israelites, complaining, saying, "What is this, Lord? Why did you bring me to this?" And we don't think of what God did in the past. So it's been beautiful that you always remember what God did for you, and so that steered you to move on.
Kind of gives you hope, It's not like you're completely in the dark. Like, even though you're not 100% confident, it's like, if it does happen. In my church, especially, I've learned a lot. Like, even saying like more than the verses and all these things, I've learned a lot of values. Like simple things, how you can actually come up by hard work, and like actually how you need to do certain things, and certain set of values. A lot of values I learned from the church.
Okay.
That really helped me to differentiate and analyze and sort things. Okay, this is this, this is that. So in that way, the church has been.
So they backed you up quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
To mold you.
Not just physically, exactly. Mentally, also my thought process, everything.
So they've been mentoring you throughout. So all those 3 years you were literally mentored by the church.
Exactly. And even then mentoring, it's not that one day was always there. No, it was always certain different people.
Okay, different points of time. Okay. So whenever you were faced with something, you had somebody to push you through and things like that. So that's awesome.
Not just faced, like even day-to-day life. When you're with them, if you're if you're hanging out with someone, you will watch them, you'll observe them. It doesn't have to. People have to sit and teach you certain things.
The only thing I wanted to know was, you would see all your friends with their parents and things like that, whether it was school or college, and at any point of time did you feel,
Actually, people have asked me the question, but thinking about it, I haven't actually.
Wow.
I don't know if it's good or bad. I don't know if it's I'm so used to this right now. So maybe in my initial days it was kind of difficult. But right now it's not a big deal. I know I have to make my meal. I know I have to do this. I have to do my own things.
I'm not asking you about right now, but I'm asking you about when you were in school, when you were in college.
No, I don't think so. I can't right now.
You really don't. See, because you will have programs in school and all
I get it. Even my
and
roommates and all, they used to be on call with their parents.
that never affected you one bit. So the Lord has been your father, your mother, your everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, because I think this is a great blessing which God had given you.
Yeah, but
because if you were going to miss them so much, then it would have affected
But I'm
your
actually
life.
happy I haven't, to be very honest, I'm lucky that I haven't worked
You're
for
blessed.
it. No, I'm blessed actually. I'm blessed.
Blessed beyond measure.
Blessed beyond, because I haven't focused, okay, I shouldn't feel bad, God is here. I have never done a certain set of formulas. I didn't feel it. Just happened.
That's wonderful. So anyway, viewers, you've been listening to Lawrence's journey about how he managed to finish his college and the move of God in his life and the messes he got into and how God was so faithful to bring him out of that. People who mentored him, people who were with him and who literally pushed him into his destiny. And although he didn't have parents around him, God was always with him. So I think this is really uplifting a person like me who's questioning him right now, because in our journey, whoever is there with us or whoever is not there, if the Lord is there with us, I think we have everything. So Lawrence will continue his journey with us in the next episode. Till then, a big God bless. Hello viewers, and welcome to one more episode of the Enoch Generation, a generation that walks with God. We've been listening to Lawrence in the last two episodes where he shared his journey and how God has been so faithful to him. Although his physical parents were not available there to do what they needed to do for him, God was with him, and God led him and brought him to a point where he could study in a college and complete his degree. Now let's ask him about his journey when he was in college. So how he enjoyed college, how God took him through that. So over to you, Lawrence, now. Now you can tell us those 3 years when you were doing your degree. How was it in college? You said you got into a lot of mess and you came out of it and people were there to pay your fees to push you through all that stuff. But how was it with your friends, with your staff and things like that?
Well, in college, I was doing a degree, would be too much, I think, put it that way. But I was having fun in college, having good friends, I had good set of friends. And it was actually easy for me because MCC is not...
Were these friends the same who were there in
No,
school?
completely new set of people. And getting to know people and going along with them wasn't that difficult for me because since I was a musician, MCC is known for music and not to know people. If you play an instrument, you can be known there.
Yeah, you'll be very famous.
You can make friends and you can be with them. People know you, they come and talk to you and all these things. So it wasn't getting well with the people and going along with the people wasn't that difficult in college. That was good, and drumming, which has played a huge role in my life, has really helped me in many places.
So, you started off with your career in drumming when you were in Charis Bible College?
No, I would say I didn't start off in career, I started off in drums, I just started playing it for fun, like practicing and all these things.
So that became a passion?
Yeah, problem is I never had a teacher.
Okay.
I didn't actually...
And did you have an access to drums,
Yeah, it's a Bible college, right? They have a drum kit.
Yeah, but then after that?
After that, I know college. At church, right? I used to play in church.
Okay. So you still had an access to play?
In that way. I had access to play. So back in the Bible college, and I didn't have a teacher, so I would have to Google. I remember my first drum lesson was I just typed on YouTube how to play drums beginner. that was my first search. A few guys were there, and okay. That's how it started. And for some reason, I enjoyed playing the same thing over and over again for hours. And like sometimes 4 or 5 hours straight. I did that for every day. And
so that was a seed that the Lord had planted into you.
Exactly. And obviously I had many mentors in that case also. Mentors means I'll meet someone, I'll meet a good drummer, I'll obviously talk to him like I'm doing this and this. What can I do to improve myself and all these things. Then show me, I think you should listen to this guy, I think you should watch this, something like that. And I just built on it. But constantly, God was always there, and the best part was I was able to see myself, even after, like, when I wasn't playing for anyone, I was just playing for myself. Sometimes, when I'm in the bus or something, we all like to daydream, right? So my daydream was, you won't believe on it, like my daydream, when you're sitting in a red color drum kit, in a stage with smoke and lights, and I'm playing.
Why the red?
I don't know, it just came, when you think about something, it just comes up. I don't know, red. I just came up and I was playing. This was, the first year of my drumming. Just went on, okay, I never worried about, when that will happen and all these things, but I just kept working. And I started playing in church, and then college came. In college it was scary, actually there were so many good drummers. It was just like, okay, and everyone we talked to him like, hey bro, you play drums? Yeah, I play drums. So how many years I've been playing? Okay, I'll be so scared to say it because I have...
So who's your teacher?
I'm like, how many grades have you done? I'm like, no, nothing. So when you say...
Spirit is my teacher.
When you say no grades, okay, no grades, no teacher, just a couple of years of playing. if they haven't seen you play, they'll have an image. He's a complete beginner who's just showing up. All these things started happening. I started playing in college. I got a good band together, and I kind of started realizing that people started noticing me. I won't play any fancy things, but they say you're really good, man. I really enjoyed watching you play and all these things. I'll be thinking, okay, there was a really good drummer who played next to me, but these guys are appreciating me. It was good, and the more competition we went, I got recognized as.
Maybe people like me who don't know music are still admiring you on stage because it's all Lawrence playing drums there on stage.
So, my before.
So, see, we didn't appreciate you for your drum job because we thought who you were.
So, yeah, the thing is, the more competitions we played, I got recognized as the best drummer of the event.
Wow.
And the first 2 times were amazing, but it
was it intercollegiate or just within
outside.
Your college?
No. Outside, like other colleges. We used to intercollege.
Okay. So you represented your college?
Exactly.
Wow.
So.
No, but when you have professional drummers, how do they allow you to go and represent the college?
The thing is, like, if you have an audition sort of thing in college, okay, you just have to perform with your band. If you are good, you can go out and play. And in our college, it's not a big deal. Anyone can go. That's the best thing. There were like around 50 bands around my time, I guess. So it was not a big deal, participating. If you have money, registration fees, you can go give it and you can just participate. So the first couple of times when I was mentioned as the best drummer, I was so happy. But then, I felt good. But after the 10th and 12th time, I'm like, okay, good. I knew, right? I knew something, okay, but something, I was confident. And I was noticed by people. I like good drummers, good musicians, right? They would walk up to me and talk, whom I have admired them. And like, I saw you play, man, you were really good. Like, thank you. See, but thinking about it, I've been filled in for, big drummers. Okay, I've been filled in for good musicians, like played along with musicians. But most of these guys, they have a good background of music. They haven't played music from since. I'll ask them how many years. I don't know. I think I've been playing since my first standard or second standard. I'm like 10th. They'll be like surprised. But you can see that, right? See whatever they've achieved. God has literally made me or at least gave me the passion to work hard towards it and gave me the right opportunity and right people.
It's been done so beautifully in his time. Yeah. See, he's never late.
Yeah, exactly. Like sometimes you feel like, oh, I should have got that show. But he'll give you a better one.
Exactly.
Okay, there was one time.
He knows which door to close and which one to open.
Exactly. I've made a few contacts. I've met people, played here and there. So after my college, I worked for 7 months. But to be very honest, Auntie, that was really frustrating. Even though it was good pay, it was good timing, everything, I felt really bad. I kind of felt like I never felt that way. Okay. It was very like, I wouldn't say depressing. It was very low. I didn't feel that kind of way because after college was great. Okay, after that, I couldn't just possibly cope up with it. So I'm like, oh God, I'm not gonna do this. So I quit it. I was getting here and there. I was getting shows to play. But you won't believe me, after the quitting office, the people asked me what are you going to do, but I'm like, no idea. They have shows, I don't know. I was taking a couple of classes, I was teaching and I was also playing.
So although you haven't had a teacher, now you become a teacher. That's wonderful.
I think, right? But you won't believe what things started happening, every weekend, someone, just before the weekend, someone will call me, hey Lawrence, are you free this Friday night? We have a show here, can you play? Hey Lawrence, are you free this Sunday? Are you free this Saturday? It'll just start happening, and after a while I started, okay, just come, just leave it.
No, my point is, see, you didn't have a professional teacher. But when you go as a teacher, how do you, move in your curriculum and things like that?
I personally feel that I have a different set of skill set. I don't know the systematic approach, but I know the struggles I went through.
Okay.
So when I see one, I can, I've been there. I can actually, notice it.
Okay.
With systematic approach, it's like A, B, C, D. Just say A, B, C, D. But when you teach them something, and if they're not getting it right, you know what it is. Because, see, I didn't get it. And there was no one to tell me the right or wrong way. I did 20 times, and out of the 20 times, I found one. Correct. Okay, 90. I know how not to do it 19 times, okay?
Okay.
19 different ways. So that has really helped me to teach in a better way and in a sort of understanding way, easier way.
Okay. Now, how do your students, react or interact with you?
To be honest,
Because you're so young.
yeah.
And
I love all my students, but I prefer the ones who loves me back.
So there is a group that don't love you, is it?
Of course, I kind of torture them technically. The thing is, the music, see, it's very flashy and things, but the work that goes behind it, nobody sees it. I mean, like to play a 15 minutes of show, I would have worked almost a year to develop that skill set. It is not that flashy in the practice room, it is really boring. So when you make them do boring things, people
They get bored.
Obviously tend not to love you. Kind of the opposite, they tend to hate you. You get what I'm saying? But there are few kids, regardless of what kind of torture I put them into, but they still, okay Lawrence, I'll do this. It still be, kind of.
So how
attached.
old are your kids, the ones you teach?
They are from 7 to 14, 15.
It's still got teenagers also.
Some teenagers. Kind of difficult, but yeah.
So now you made drumming your profession.
Yeah, my profession. I play for people, and the last year I've never been out of the country before. There was one time last year, I think November, my friend called me and like, hey bro, hey, I knew him from another show. He's also a drummer. He said, I have a show. Can you just fill in for me? He's been playing for a big artist. I'm like, okay, I can just fill in for you. Everything done, January practice, everything. February, I have to go there.
Okay.
I didn't know. I thought it was somewhere in India. In mid of January, he's like, hey, so bro, do you have a passport? I'm like, why should I need a passport?
To travel inside my country, you wonder.
I'm like, why should I? The practice is always almost not done. I'm like, why? That was in Sri Lanka. It's happening in Sri Lanka. I'm like, yeah, you should have told me, dude. I don't know. That 1 week, auntie. I didn't have tackle. I didn't take tackle anything. Normal passport thing, but it just came up.
Oh,
Everything. I never thought. See, I didn't take a passport because I thought it was too difficult for me. It was like too many, likewise too many certificates and everything. So I didn't want to give it a shot. Just happened, and I went to Sri Lanka. I had absolute fun because see, being a musician, the best part is you get to have really good food. The best part is that anything you go, you'll be playing for just 15 or like max an hour, 15 minutes to an hour. Well, best part is you get to have amazing food. We were staying in a 7-star hotel and they said, eat anything you want and just put a sign. Like, okay.
So that's it.
And we were just trying out, what out of the 100 things in the menu, what have I never tried? These things I never tried. I call them up, okay, I'll deliver. It was one show for an hour. We stayed there for 2 days. We were there for 2 days. It was so much fun. And I was coming back. I never thought I would, if someone would call me, I would just I'll play a gig internationally.
It's so beautiful the way God opens doors for us, isn't it?
Yeah, it just happens.
It's like surprises. So I love to call him God of surprises because he keeps surprising us. And I think your international journey has just begun. And I remember because that was the time I in fact approached you and asked you to come for one of these programs.
Yeah.
I wanted to take a shoot and you said, Auntie, I'm leaving for Sri Lanka and I'll come back and I will give you the program. I said, oh my God, our Lawrence has become a big guy now. World renowned very soon.
Yes, yeah.
Bless you for that. So that's where your journey has begun with your drumming career, and it's very, very interesting to know, from where God had literally picked you up and how God had brought you all this far. So even before you were formed in the womb with your mother, the Lord knew you, and He had a plan for you. So maybe the devil tried its level best, to do everything in its path to take you off course, but our God is so faithful. I love to call Him more than faithful because He's more than faithful. And the same God I know will take you on a wonderful journey. I know you'll be here in the sets a few years later with greater things in store. But how did your mind get set into this career? Because it's like walking on waters here, moving into the ocean.
It is.
And you don't have, a lineage where somebody who come from a family of musicians or those right connections and things like that. How did you have the boldness to just give up your job and step into something?
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like that answer.
No, seriously, I have no. Same thing people have asked me. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I don't know. And I'm like, man, don't scare me even more. I have no idea, but I know I'm going to do it. Sometimes
I think this was an easy decision for you because throughout you never knew what you were going to do.
Yeah, exactly. See, the thing is, sometimes I take decisions just because I won't know why I'm taking it, but like, just do it. I think that this was one of those decisions. Yeah, I personally feel more than physical and materialistic things happening. I'm learning a lot mentally. I mean, like small things, how to be with people, like how to talk, like be networking, all these technical things and all these things, right? I think mentally I'm being stretched. And also learning on the other side to trust in it. Okay, your bank, there's only $400 in your bank account. What are you going to do? Okay, if he's able to put $400 there, he'll be definitely able to put even more.
That's wonderful.
So even in this Sri Lanka gig which I did, my payment was 10K. That was what spoken of. Travel and everything will be taken care of. I was more than happy. 10K for 2 days in Sri Lanka, free food, everything, free travel, good show. It was a good, decent pay for a beginner musician. I was very happy. I went, I played with them. It was fun. I came back. I think it's been a week or two was gone by, and the guy who organizes, the manager, he gave me up a call and he's like, "Hey bro, how are you?" "Yeah, good man, how are you?" Things, the artist, right, who called me, he was saying that she was very skeptical because it is not easy because if you're an international artist, every single mistake your fellow mates do reflects on your name. So she was so skeptical that her actual drummer was not there to take me in, and she was so worried about how it's gonna sound. And he was saying she was very happy because you pulled off a really good job. You really filled in the space.
Wow, wonderful.
Drummer, and you were saying that she was really happy and she wants to do something for you again. So they said she wanted to buy you a gear, some gear for the drumming, but she doesn't know what to get you. So she would like to pay you an extra 10K.
Wow.
So they were credited that.
So that's a double blessing.
Yeah, that's a double blessing, right? See, I was like, okay, I had good food, I had good show, and double the payment. I'm like, must be a really good deal.
But that's how God blesses us, no? It's pressed down, shaken, overflowing, poured into a bosom.
I don't know what to do with it. I'm like, okay, let me keep it in the bank. I don't know what to do. Literally, that was the first time. See, for me, I'll always have a plan. Like, okay, I have this, I should do this. Okay. For the 10K, I don't know what to do. I'm like, okay, just keep it there. It might come in handy. But I'm just saying, right? Just happened. It just happened. I didn't even think about it or worry about it.
So your entire journey has been a walk of faith.
Yeah.
And I think that is the basis for our walk with the Lord. So it's literally been like you and the Lord walking together. So it's like Enoch walking with the Lord. That's exactly how you've been walking, and I know you're going to have a very wonderful walk in the days to come. It's going to be more powerful, what God is going to do with you and do through you. And I know I'm going to hear inspiring testimonies. Sure. God bless you. So viewers, we've been listening to Lauren's journey, and I think it's been very edifying to listen to him, and he's had such a wonderful walk of faith. Right from the age of 15, he's literally been walking just with the Lord, trusting him, and God has been more than faithful in his life. So when we trust him and when we have a walk with the Lord, like Lawrence has one, definitely the same God who's blessing Lawrence and will continue to bless him to do greater things in his life will bless each one of us. God bless you.